Okay, and welcome back, students who are taking financial accounting. And in a series of videos, we're working on the assigned homework problems from the digital study guide for Chapter 11, the Group B exercises. Right. Note, accounting is about understanding the concepts and applying that understanding to the situation at hand. If you get the application aspect wrong, that is one thing and is easily remedied by watching someone else work the problem. However, if you don't understand the concepts, that is a whole other thing. Watching a problem worked out will not help if you don't understand the underlying concepts. Go back and study the text material again and watch the theory videos. If you still don't understand the concepts, then either email or telephone an instructor to get help with that understanding. Okay, so in the last video, if you noticed, it was labeled, and this should be 11. We had there were 3 requirements, 1, 2, and 3, and all we did was just create the statement of cash flows. So in this video, we are going to work on the other 2 requirements. It says here, calculate Snyder's free cash flow from the year ended November 30th, 2014. Okay, so if you'll recall, the free cash flow is equal to the net cash flow from operations minus the cash payment excuse me, for investment in long-term assets. Okay, so the net cash flow from the operations, all right, was this here 109,000. Right, so we have 109,000, right, minus the cash payment for a long-term investment. Whoops, wrong way. Which is this acquisition of our fixed assets of 87,000. So minus the 87,000, and that is going to equal the 22,000 for our free cash flow. Now, number 3 says, evaluate Snyder Services cash flows for the year. In your evaluation, mention the 3 categories of cash flows as well as the free cash flow and give the reason for your evaluation. Right? So the solution says the operations provided net cash flows of 109,000. The majority of the cash flow from operations, so there's the 109,000. The majority of the cash flow from operations, as it should in a successful company. All right. Snyder Services used negative cash flows of 68,000 for investing activities. However, this indicates that the company is investing its cash into long-term assets of the business. Snyder's financial activities provided a net cash flow of the 19,000. Okay. The company raised additional capital by issuing stock, which more than covered the payment of long-term debt and the return of some of the proceeds from the operation of the stockholders in the form of dividends. Okay. So they sold stock and they paid out dividends. Snyder Services also has free cash flow of 22,000, which indicates it has cash available to pay dividends, pay off debt, and pursue other investment activities. Okay, so that's the free cash flow. That's like the, basically you think of it in terms of the available cash flow to do whatever you want with it. All right, so that was a pretty good description of what is here on the statement of cash flows and the reasoning behind it. Okay, you know, it said 109,000 was the cash provided by operating activities. You know, yes, you should have a positive cash flow there from your operating activities, and so that was a good thing. And then they said, okay, you know, we're going to take the and we're spending $68,000 as investing activities, pumping it back into the business, which is fine, right? Because our free cash flow still had $22,000 left over. Okay. Then it says our financing activities. We issued common stock, and we still had money left over to pay our long-term note payable, and also to pay be able to pay out dividends, which is a good thing. Shareholders like to receive dividends. Did they have to pay out the dividends? No, but because they had additional cash, since they had additional free cash flow, they could use some of that money to pay out the dividends, which they did. And so this here statement of cash flows, this is a good analysis of a company that is doing well from a cash perspective. All right, so that's the end of this here, exercise 11-24. And I will see you in the next exercise for 25B.